Hi, this is Pranav Guha Thakurta from EduTV. Today, we have got a very important topic. It is impact of lockdown on the education system. And we have got very important panelists also today. We have Professor Ram Gopal Rao, Director, IIT New Delhi. We have Kumar Shekhar Vijendra, Chancellor, Shobit University, Meerut and Gango Saranpur. We have Professor Kamlesh Mishra, who is the Vice Chancellor, Rishihud University, Sonipat, Haryana. We have Dr. Jyoti Gupta, promoter, Delhi Public School, Sahibabad. We have Mr. S.K. Rathore, promoter, Sanford Group of Schools. We have Mr. Sundar Ramaswamy, who is the Vice Chancellor, Kriya University, Sri City, Andhra Pradesh. We have Mr. KDS Bedi, who is the Vice President, Chikara University, Punjab. Dr. Hari Maram, who is the promoter of Digital University, Bangalore, Karnataka. To start with Dr. V. Ram Gopal Rao, sir, the topic is impact of lockdown on Indian education, not only Indian education, on the education system, and what are the remedies? Yes, sir.
At IIT Delhi, for example, we have closed down quite some time ago. In fact, we were one of the very first IITs to suspend classes and send the students back. But at that time, we very consciously decided that this is also an opportunity for institutions like IIT Delhi to contribute in terms of technological solutions to address the problem. So we have told our faculty and students, particularly those working on the COVID-related issues, to stay back voluntarily. Of course, there no one is pressurizing anyone. And then we said their labs will be open, and they will also receive funding. And so that has now, for the past 3 weeks or so, they've all been working on multiple research activities concerning the coronavirus, and there are at least a dozen projects right now which are ongoing. And we have developed test kits now, which we are, as I speak today, which are getting certified. And we have developed masks using newer materials. So I think a lot of research now has happened in the last 3 weeks during this breakdown period. We hope to, we are already beginning to supply now some of these to hospitals and all that. So that's one thing which has definitely happened. In terms of academics, of course, it was such a sudden kind of a thing. So we weren't really very well prepared in terms of moving our classes to online. And when it comes to the online education, we have already been, there are at least 200 courses which are currently going on in the online mode. But the biggest challenge that we are facing right now is, since IITs have also become quite inclusive in terms of their admissions, there are many children, almost 20% of them, according to our last count, who still do not have a proper internet connection to receive all these materials. The video kind of things is still a big challenge for them. So we are uploading notes, but then we are seeing that there will be a kind of a very inhomogeneous sort of a student population, where some who are able to receive all these video lectures, some who are not able to receive, and when they come back at some point, and if we are holding any examinations, how do you take this into account? So there are lots of uncertainties, there are challenges, but I think we need to deal with it at some point. And in fact, we are holding our first Senate meeting online in the next few days to discuss some of these kind of concerns. And also, when the institute reopens, we want to do it in a phased manner, not ask everybody to come back at the same time. So we are also putting in place, processes to reopen the institute as and when it actually happens. I think there are challenges, but I think we need to take one at a time and see, how best we can deal with the situation.
Correct. Now I would request Kumar Shekhar Vijendra, as you have got two universities and you've got hospitals also, you are seeing both the things very closely. And I think everyone knows Kumar Shekhar sir has given his hospitals for quarantine, is offered the hospital to the government. Yes, sir. Kumar sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. And good afternoon, everybody. Not only the hospital, we have given one of our hostel also for quarantine facility. And if I look at the challenges Professor Rao was mentioning, the challenge in IIT is of 20% students. But if I look at one of our university, which is in a small town in interior of Western UP, in district Saharanpur, this challenge becomes more.
Correct.
On 20th of March, we decided that we will close down the university and we will try to go online. Certain ERPs are there, certain solutions we are having. But the biggest challenge, what I feel is, it is not only of technology, it is of the mindset also. Because the mentality, the mindset of neither of the faculty members, and unfortunately, especially the senior faculty members, is not to do many experiments. They are not willing. They feel they cannot go online. They are good with the chalkboard. They are good with whiteboards, PPTs, and all those things. The same mindset we found with the students also. But if I look at the end results, like since last 20, 25 days, we are doing all these experiments. We are using ERP, we are using Zoom, we are using whatever mediums are available, whatever possibility is there. Even WhatsApp and telephone calls are also we are using to interact with these students. That more interaction has started. Challenges are there, like virtual labs are not there. Definitely this challenge will always remain there. But we are able to engage. And I always believe that in the negative environment, the biggest challenge is to engage people to remain positive. And this is what we are trying to do. And definitely today we will learn something new also through this discussion. So
Great.
this is the basic challenge what we are having.
Great. As Mr. Rao's perception, as he's from the IIT, he's got the best of the brains out there. Then we had Kumar Shekhar's advice. He runs medical facilities, he runs hospitals and institutions. Now we have Professor Mishra, Kamlesh Mishra. He's the Vice Chancellor of Rishud University and he's also a noted economist of the country. Sir, how economics and lockdown and educations are affecting each other?
Well, I think let's keep them separate because right now the impact of one on the other is not that clear. It'll take a little more time. From the economic point of view, I think we are heading for a major recession worldwide. So I don't think there is any doubt in it. It's the question is that when is it going to hit us fast? I think right now we are in a situation where we are more concerned about our life rather than the recession. So that's at this point on a back burner. If you look at the education sector, I think I'm more pessimistic than most people, although I would like to be optimistic. What we see worldwide is that we are not going to see anything for at least 12 to 14 weeks. And that's the phenomena worldwide that we are going to see, which means that nothing in terms of educational activity can even be thought before June, July. I think we have not been able to understand the epidemic that we are faced with. I think it hasn't sunk into our minds. Think of a country like United States, which is an advanced nation, and probably they should have been able to manage it much better than we have. If we get into that kind of a cycle, we are in for a very, very, very long, which will be a problem. So I personally feel that education sector is going to be hit really bad in terms of admissions. I think we will have a difficult time. Both international admissions and even admissions inside the country. Most of the entrance exams are being postponed. Class 12 exams results are not out. JEEs, we don't know when it's going to happen. Engineering colleges will all have to defer their sessions. When will the exams be conducted, entrance exams? If this is going to be a 12-week ride, then obviously we are looking at May, June at the best where you can take the exams. So I think as much as I would like to be very optimistic and hope that everything settles down, the evidence that is available to us is not that good at this point in time for us to really feel very confident about it. I think we are heading towards some problem, and we have to think what we do, how we do it. Is it going to be a zero session? Is it going to be online? Lot of students are asking this question, that will American universities or British universities go for online education? Well, the problem is that American universities don't permit more than one course as online course per semester. Their rules don't allow. Will the universities all of a sudden decide to change all the rules, that now you can take all 3 courses, 4 courses online? I don't know whether that's going to happen. Normally, institutions are not that easy to change rules so fast. So that's my personal view at this point.
Now we have Mr. Sundar Ramaswamy. He's the Vice Chancellor of Kriya University, Sri City, Andhra Pradesh. Sundarji has, I think, done a lot of things abroad also. Sir, what kind of education will be requiring after this lockdown or corona thing? You are already into liberal arts.
So anyway, good afternoon to everyone. And I think we're all in similar boats, as we're trying to figure this out. Kriya, as you know, was a fairly new university, was set up in Sri City. The admin office is in Chennai, which is where I'm based right now. And Sri City, the campus is in Andhra. We closed the university on March 16th. So we did it before the lockdowns happened so that we were able to send away students. And we are a pretty small university relative to many on this panel. I have about 400 students in an MBA program, which was the old IFMR Graduate School of Business. They went online, I think around March 24th. The newly started undergraduate program focusing on interwoven learning and liberal arts, we just started online this week after spending about a week doing trials. Like the director of my colleague, the director from IIT, Dr. Rao was saying, because we admit students from all over, from all different socioeconomic backgrounds, the problem was not so much from our end as to what platform to use, what portal to use, what LMS to use. It was the fact that our students are in such circumstances that some of them don't have regular bandwidth, or they don't have regular power supply, or I had to actually speak to a father because the daughter wrote back saying that father would never allow her to use a smartphone or a computer when she's at home. So, this is the reality of the digital divide that we'll have to confront with. The question, however, is I've done the feedback in the first 2 weeks of the graduate students and just the last week of the undergraduate students, and the feedback from both students and faculty is things have gone very well. And I think we decided that we still have many more mountains to climb, because from my own experience doing online teaching overseas, it is not the same as taking what you would teach in a classroom and then put it online. You have to think very differently about how it's delivered, how it's received, how do students participate, how do you assess? And of course, because we're a new university, we are able to change if we need to allow for how we assess, and also how many courses can one take online and so on. I am maybe more optimistic than Dr. Misra, but I do think that we have to be prepared, as he says. that this is not going to end in summer. From everything, it may have waves to it, which means even if it's a recession, as a professional economist, I feel like people talk about a V recession or a U recession. I think it might be like a W recession, where we might come back and then go back into another dip and then come back. So, which means until the vaccine or the cure is found, we have to be prepared as an educational institution to go on site and go online over the next 12 months, unless something miraculous happens. So, I just got off a call with all my faculty just now, because while the focus is right now on the next 2 months to finish the trimester, and then let's say the summer happens, but we are also thinking simultaneously, what if we are not able to come back in August, or we have to come back and then again there's a lockdown because there's another repeat. So we need to think this through in terms of pedagogy and in terms of outcomes. Now, in terms of admissions, we are not seeing any dip in numbers. The applications are still pretty high. We are in round 2 of our 4 rounds admissions process. What is also interesting is people who would have gone abroad are actually starting to contact us because their parents are getting nervous about sending their kids to the US or Europe. So who knows how this all nets out for us in terms of a positive. But I do think education as a whole, especially privately funded education institutions like us, where our donors also happen to be captains of industry whose industries themselves are suffering, I think we will have to think about our business model and think about where donations are coming, how do we continue to maintain salaries and research allowances as a new university. Those are all the challenges, but I always believe that in challenges, there are also potentially good opportunities that one has to find and as a 21st century institution. I think we need to figure out how to address this world of uncertainty so that we can learn from it, both from a pedagogical standpoint, but also how do we run a university.
Wonderful. Thank you. Before I go to Mr. Rathor, Mr. Bedi, Dr. Hari, and Dr. Jyoti Gupta, I would like to come to Mr. Rao again. So there are some direct impacts, like the students who are unable to write their examinations. They don't know how they will go pursue their higher education. Then the students who are looking for the summer trainings or projects, they are not getting any project or summer training either in engineering or MBA. So Rao Saab, what is your advice to these students?
I think there will be lot of ripple effects, but I would like to believe that in fact some students were contacting me. I said worrying about internship is the last thing that we should be looking at right now. There are
Exactly.
much bigger worries than that. And in fact, some internships are moving to online kind of a thing, where it is possible they will do so. But I think for us there is a 2-month buffer, May to June, July end. That is usually the summer vacation for us. So we will try to absorb all the overflow of the semester, within these summer months. But I would expect that I think nothing will come back to normal sort of a situation until December of this year, because the semester will get shifted, and then the classes, exams, everything will get shifted. So by end of this year, we hope to come back to a normal kind of a semester schedule. So that's what we are hoping. Only in 2021 January onwards, things will be as per the calendar and all that. So until that time, there will be lots of decisions which we need to take based on the information available at that time. For example, for us now, the biggest challenge is conducting the JEE advanced examination, which otherwise would have been in May. And for us to conduct advanced exam, we have to have the JEE mains exam, and there needs to be a sufficient gap between these exams. And right now, no one is able to decide on any of these things. So that will push our calendar for new year, for the next semester admissions. So I think it's all very chaotic right now, and I think it's very difficult to say anything with any level of confidence. But I also think that in these times, over communication is also better than under communication. If we don't talk to the students, don't tell them the confusions that we have, they will start imagining all kinds of things, and that can lead to other kinds of problems. In fact, I'm going to speak with all the IIT Delhi students, whoever can join on Facebook and YouTube kind of channels. This Saturday we have a 2-hour session with them to communicate and to address some of these issues. I think it's not going to be easy. We also need to have some psychology kind of people getting involved, because students are losing jobs now. Even confirmed offers are being withdrawn. Now in those situations, students are worried. I think it's not going to be easy, and I think it will take end of this year for things to come back to the normal semester kind of schedule.
Now we have Mr. Rathor with us. He's the director of Sanford School. He has got 200 schools, and that too in multi locations. And for him, the challenge is bigger, and plus the students are pretty young. They are not used to for online coaching and all. So, Rathor sir, what kind of challenges you are facing, and what kind of how you are addressing them?
Yeah, thank you, Pranav. Good afternoon, everyone. So, I know, except Jyoti ma'am and me, everyone is from higher education side. So, the challenges for school is something different what higher education institutions are facing. See, in my case, we have more than 200 schools and 2 K-12 schools, 12 primary schools located in different parts of the country. So, yes, uh, taking digital classes for the young children is not so easy, because the young children doesn't have that kind of sense. Even they don't have that kind of capacity to sit, that kind of mentality to sit down for 40 minutes or 50 minutes on the screen. They can play anything, but they can't take the classes. But yes, we have started the session on time for the preschool also, and for K-12 and primary schools also. In case of preschools, we try to involve the parents, and I'm so happy to tell you all the parents are coming forward, and they are helping children to sit down and take the classes, and they are involved in their children's activities, and they are sending the videos after doing all the activities. So this kind of help we are getting these days from the parents. The good thing is, I've never seen parents so involved in their children education in past few years, what I am seeing these days because of this lockdown. One thing. Second thing, in case of primary and K-12 schools, I'm sure all the people who are into the school education are doing online classes these days. There's no other options, because we have to start the session on time. So we are also conducting online classes using Zoom platform, what we are sitting on right now. So all the teachers are taking 40 minutes periods. The school is happening online as usual, as it was happening in the physical environment. Classroom is happening, but yes, the impact of physical classroom and online classroom is something different. What a teacher can deliver in the classroom, that in the school, that is not that good what we are doing on online. So challenges are there, and at the same time you were talking to Kamlesh sir about the all the schools are disturbed now, because this was the time for admissions. This was the big time. This is a big hit for the preschool sector rather more, because in case of K-12 schools, the admission will come later or sooner, because if any child has to go to K-12 school in the formal school setup, they have to be enrolled by their parents maybe in July or June, whenever the school will reopen. But in case of preschool, I'm sure the parent will be afraid to send their children after the lockdown is over, and the whole year is washed out, what I feel in case of preschool. So challenges are there in terms of economics, in terms of education both.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rathor. Mr. Bedi, so what kind of impact this lockdown has, this lockdown has affected the education, and what kind of remedies you like advise?
Very good afternoon to all, and thanks for the opportunity to participate in this excellent discussion with the other colleagues. A little correction, I'm the vice president at Tara University and not the vice chancellor, as you pointed out in the beginning. Well, I have a firm belief that nature, for that matter, keeps balance. If we see our life in the past few decades, particularly a few years back, the kind of pollution, the kind of stress level everywhere was so high, and there was something very, very imminent which was to happen, because nature has to keep its balance. When I said, pollution levels in all the metropolitan cities in the country and elsewhere was very high, and same was the stress level of the children, the parents, and everybody. So God has its own ways to balance the act, and such an unprecedented, unparalleled situation of this kind was to happen. This is my belief. But nevertheless, you need to be very, very confident and optimistic. I'm very lucky to be very optimistic in my approach. See, we need to count our blessings at this moment to live through this difficult era or difficult period of lockdown or whatever we call it. Not only we, but we need to see more are the students confused and the parents confused than the faculty, or for that matter, the educational leaders. So the first thing we can all do is to inbuild that confidence or clear little clarity in their minds that they should look rather at their physical betterment or their overall health wise. They should keep the first priority, and education for that matter definitely is important, but then 3-4 months here and there should not matter much. Even if there is a delay, let us assume, of 6 months or 1 semester, that's not going to bring the heavens down for that. I vividly recall my times when I graduated in 1984. There was curfew in Punjab, and that was practically for 15 days, and the whole examination system went for a toss for almost 3 months. But then I graduated in July, and so on and so forth. Jobs were taken and everything happened well. So first thing that we need to do at the moment is to instill that confidence and faith in the mind of all the students, parents, faculty, that things would brighten up maybe after 3 or 4 months. One. The second thing is learning outcomes. I heard somebody saying that probably the digitalization that happened in last probably 1 fortnight that we achieved in India alone, could not happen in last 3 years. How true it is that? And this is, the times, stressful times bring about the best. Sir Isaac Newton came out with his theory of gravity during the time when he was locked down during plague, and he was also working on his theory of optics. So
1662, yeah.
There is something which will come out very, very bright out of this crisis. And see, we have been very fortunate at Chikara University for the reason that we are positioned in Chandigarh. Both our campuses are in and around Chandigarh hub, of course, which is a great educational hub. We are in Rajpura. We are at Rajpura in Punjab, and we are at Baddi in Himachal. And this educational hub, the students' background is such that they are all computer savvy. They come from fairly good background. They can afford the laptops and everything of the backgrounds. It was such a smooth transition for us to implement our digital mode that we immediately started with our online classes. Within 2 or 3 days, we prompted and motivated our faculty. There were some champions, and that we have created a center of excellence in digital delivery of academic programs without losing any time over there. So we are doing it for last almost 2 weeks now. And another way is that one can always, prepone the summer vacation, something which was to happen, let us say, in May or June, can be preponed to utilize this lockdown period and come out with more practical aspects of education like experimentation, this internships and on-the-job training, and something which can be postponed to June and July. We have to firmly believe that it is a warlike situation. And see, in military situation, the military leadership matters to keep that morale of the force very high. And we in the educational sector, all the vice chancellors, all the directors of education, maybe I want to compliment and congratulate you, Mr. Pranav, for organizing such a brilliant session here, where so many perspectives to this crisis is being discussed. We are all together. We have the IIT directors and the vice chancellors and all. So more such interactions like that will come out with the country is doing, our political leadership is doing same, our bureaucratic leadership is doing, our ministers are doing, and same should be the contribution of educational leadership across the country. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Bedi. I think I'd like 2 points. Like A, preponing of the vacations. B, our leader should act like commanders of army. Now I come to Dr. Jyoti Gupta. She brings more than 30 years of experience in school education. And last year she gave the national CBSE topper also. So Dr. Gupta, what do you think? What kind of impact it had been on the Indian education system? And what kind of remedies you suggest?
So I will start by saying that there's going to be life before the COVID and there's going to be life after the COVID. And it's not going to be the same again, whether it is education, it's going to be businesses, it's going to be running of the households, it's going to be managing relationships. Everything is going to change post-COVID. We have, for one thing, learned from this that it's possible to work from home. Even when in schools, we would say that the face-to-face interaction with the students is mandatory and it's very, very important. Yes, it's important, but at the same time, all of us together have been innovate in the past couple of days so much that the children who are sitting at home, they are engaged by the schools, they are engaged by the preschools, they are engaged by the primary schools, they are engaged by the K-12 schools. Because we know that if we do not engage the children now, the gap between the school, the parents, and the children will be so much that it will be difficult to bring back the children into the routine. So we've been able to innovate, we've been able to engage the children, but here the warriors are our teachers who have no help at home, who are managing their domestic front, who are also managing their families. At the same time, they are also preparing their lesson plans so that they can be transacted in the digital mode. Now here, the big giants like Microsoft, Google, Zoom, everybody has given their platforms free of cost. If they had not given it to us free of cost, we as schools would have been struggling to spend money right now where the inflow of the money is not there. So the world has come together to give platforms to the stakeholders, to the educationalists, so that the children across the world can be engaged together. Now, looking at the situation which it is right now, all of us have to build systems where we have to build the systems which can build in a kind of a platform for emergencies like this. We would hear the crisis situation in Jammu and Kashmir. We would send teachers from Delhi to teach and cover the syllabus of these schools at Jammu and Kashmir just before the board exams came in. We've been hearing about shutdowns and lockdowns in the other countries also. Having faced the situation here, I think all of us at the helm of affairs of our individual organizations, we have to build in a system that if suppose something like this comes back again, then we are not in an ad hoc situation we are trying, where we are trying and testing, and where we are seeing what will work for us, what will work for others, whether the devices are there with the children, whether the devices bandwidth is there or not. But all of us have to come to a system where there would be a bridging between the face-to-face classes, the children moving out of their homes each day, and also sitting at home and taking some flipped classes or taking some online classes. Now, if we plan our pedagogies like this, where we intersperse the technology along with the face-to-face classes, and we also do the transaction in that way, and we also put the children onto the, or the youngsters or the students onto the platforms where they are used to a system like this, where they can do some online studies, where they can take examinations from home. For example, my daughter is in St. Stephen's. The assessment paper or the assignment comes to them 24 hours in advance. So they know the questions that they are doing. They're doing those questions from home. They're submitting their assignments. They are also being tested and assigned. They are also being evaluated on those assignments. So why can't all of us convert our curriculums more into competency-based curriculums? Why can't we also convert our systems into a system where we can test and evaluate remotely? And like I had started with, the life after the COVID is going to be very different from the life that there was before COVID. All the things that we would say, no, this is not possible, we have to say everything is possible. We need to work together. We need to come back together and start working on it. And I'm sure, as it has been pointed out, the admissions have taken a hit, the economics have taken a hit. Personally, like a promoter of a school, I would not want to, go into a route where we have to deduct the salaries of the employees. I would rather tell the parents that they should appreciate the effort that is being made by the schools
Correct.
to engage the children. Why would they want to engage the children only at home, just by doing what they are doing with the children? Let the schools do their work, or colleges or higher do their work, and we will ensure that we engage them meaningfully.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jyoti Gupta. Dr. Harimaran, as you started this digital revolution long time back, how can your digital initiative help schools, preschools, and universities?
Yeah, thanks, Saurav, to connect all our friends at one frame. Yes, definitely. I think the COVID-19, the major effect is in the education sector, unlike the other sectors, which definitely having a crisis situation. But specific to the education sector, I think India is we are facing the biggest problems because of our largest number of students in the campuses. So we have closely around 300 million students from nursery to the PhD programs. And unlike the other countries, we have a largest student population in the campuses. So today, this is all unexpected thing which happened suddenly. So luckily, we are into a digital space where we started this journey 2.5 years back, setting up online, programs across the world. So every crisis given an opportunity to multiple companies. So this COVID-19 crisis given an opportunity to mainly to the edutech and the online universities, especially like in the demonetization, companies like Paytm and all got huge benefit. The same way today, the online education, then the skilling as well as the e-commerce companies are getting benefited. So we are one of that the educational company. The reason is simple. Till yesterday, people were more focusing on the infrastructure at the campuses, having hundreds to thousands of acres of land and huge infrastructure, huge investment. So not many universities, not even 4 to 5% of the universities in India especially put efforts to bring the technology into their day-to-day systems. So only few universities, they have executive education and multiple programs in their hand. So normally across the world, if you look at universities like Harvard, Kellogg's, Wharton, and Oxford, the major business, the revenue comes for these universities, not only from the admissions, because admissions contribute only 35 to 40%. The 60% contribution comes from these universities, mainly the executive education, online education, publication, consultation, corpus funds, industry collaborations, research. These are the areas they concentrate. That is the reason, the impact is not much, very high to these top universities, which they adopted technology into their day-to-day practice. But in India, majority of the private educational players, they invested huge money. So because of this, the crisis of COVID-19, I think definitely, as rightly told by Professor Ram Gopal Rao, IIT Delhi, I think this effect is going to be for the entire this 2020. It is not going to solve by next 1 month or 2 months, because this impact will be very high on, especially in the education institutions, because students physically meet together, and it is a huge gathering is going to take place in the campuses. So this to be avoided, and definitely government is going to put a rider on these colleges and universities. Already the lockdown thing is extended to education institutions. Some of the state governments already announced through circulars, through notices, that education institutions will reopen only after May. So especially when I'm talking about the technology thing, today when you talk about the gross enrollment ratio in India, it is 95% in primary education, and it is a 25 to 27% in higher education. As rightly told by my friend Rathore, today, the major problem in the primary education, because students are unable to understand through using the technology. But when it comes to higher education, mainly the students opt to do this kind of a programs for a better job opportunities. So here, because of this crisis, we are unable to assure the good job opportunities. So that is the major. So the online education is one of the kind of a solution where what we can, deliver these programs across the world, not maintaining that the distance, and also maintaining wherever students are available, they can able to do. But again, we have a difficulties of bandwidth, because unlike the major cities, we don't have a much bandwidth connectivity in the smaller towns in India especially. So connecting with the students is again becoming difficult to most of the universities which are trying to deliver the programs using the online, because most of the students are away from their campuses, and the students are gone back to their hometowns, and they don't have a good connectivity. And majority of the universities and colleges, first time they are attempting this kind of online venture, and their faculty is trying to develop the skills of training the students and delivering the sessions. So still the quality is not up to the mark when you look at some of the best international online programs available by Coursera or Khan Academy or edX or Exceed or these. So today, especially globally, the online education in the last 2 months is growing at the rate of 35 to 40%. Even in India, Baiju, I think, had a growth of almost 75 to 80% compared to the last month in this March. So online education is going to be a future. I think the higher education institution should able to adopt technology in the part of their infrastructure investments, because this uncertainty is going to be not only this time, it is going to be any time in future also. So I strongly recommend the institutions to gear up and develop their faculty, internal resources, and adopt the technology to come out of this kind of crisis situation.
Thank you, Dr. Hari. Now my question will be to Shri Kunwar Shekhar Vijendra. Mr. Chancellor, as you have got two universities, one is in NCR and other is in Saranpur, which is, you can say, semi-rural. Are the challenges different in both the universities?
Challenges are always different, but I always believe that every disruption gives us an opportunity of new creation.
Correct.
And the best opportunity which has come, it has come of creating a culture of experimentation. All of us are doing experiments. We do not know where is the solution, what is the right solution. That experimentation is happening. We were all in fear zone initially. Now learning zone has started. Now we all are learning from each other. We are seeing that what is good, what we can do, what we should not do. And definitely after that, implementation action zone will start when we all will implement. If I look at both the universities, definitely as it has been mentioned by distinguished panelists also, especially like Mr. Bedi was speaking about Chitkara, that he has majority of the students coming from Chandigarh region. The same is there, like the university which is in Meerut, we have maximum of the students coming from big cities. They are familiar, they have accessibility, they have right devices, they have a mindset. But students, those who are studying in a university which is in a semi-rural area, their challenges are different. Connectivity is not there, mindset is not there. Especially we have around 30-40% students coming from minorities. So in the families, that mindset is not there. Why you should be provided internet or a laptop or a smartphone? You cannot have it. And one more thing which is very important, we all must appreciate that only good tools are not enough. We may have, we will be having a total change of attitude has to be. And if we feel that tomorrow online education is the future, actually education is not only imparting information. It is not that just we will share the information and the education is complete. It needs an environment. It is empowerment also. For empowerment, we all have to work in a blended mode. The challenges over there in our one of the universities, like university which is in Saharanpur district, we have some traditional programs also there. Like we have a school of Ayurveda there. You cannot teach Ayurveda online. Nothing is available much on that. We have naturopathy and yoga centers over there. You cannot do much with that. Even in engineering programs, yesterday I was seeing a news of IIT Mumbai. They decided to shift their complete calendar for 2 months. So because we can talk, okay, online we will deliver, on Zoom we are doing, and the content quality is also a challenge. Because nobody was prepared. We all knew that this disruption will come, but nobody knew that this disruption will come immediately. We all have certain study material available. We all were working in that direction, but it was not that we all were 100% prepared. And if anybody is telling so, I will just like to mention my son is studying in University of California. And when this lockdown started there also, even they are not prepared. Everything is going online. He's an engineering student. Virtual classes are not there. Challenges are there. They have been asked to go to a place of shelter. And so many challenges are happening. The same thing is happening in India also in the best institutions. So if we say, I have a solution, I am doing wonderful. So it is just like that we are praising ourselves for the sake of praising. Yes, challenges are there. We all are in learning mode. This disruption has given us an opportunity to think again. And one thing which was very disappointing, that in spite of the fact we all, globally I'm talking, we all were claiming we are doing so much research. And suddenly more than sanitizers or masks or now some designs of ventilators, the best of the universities of the world are not talking about it. So it means maximum of our research was not either socially relevant or we were not thinking about what research actually we have to do. So I am thinking that this opportunity is also there now, that all institutions, irrespective of their ranking, irrespective of their numbers, their locations, wherever they are, we have to now think more that we have to do socially relevant research more. We have to identify the challenges in spite of remaining the central, yeah, island of excellence. We have to connect our campuses with the mainland and we have to work together. Generally, what is happening, I am happy that I am good. I am happy that I am ranked high, but I am not concerned what is happening otherwise. So this has given us an opportunity to handhold each other. What I am seeing that in different universities, like we are privileged universities, I will use the word, either way because we had been there since long or we are established now, but they are new institutions, they are degree colleges, there are sarkari schools, government schools. So that hand-holding has to be there, which is a learning part which everybody has to do. At least we are trying to do, and I am sure that everybody must be doing. One more challenge is there, like it is a trauma, anxiety, and psychological challenge. So in Shobit University, Meerut, we have a Center for Psychology and Human Behavior. So we launched a psychological tele helpline with our experts, so which is available nationally, and it is helping a lot. Like when we launched it, we thought maybe some students will call it on, but we are getting calls from Pan India. People are calling, people are talking, and I believe this can be done at least by everybody. We all can do it. So that has to be done. And certain, as I mentioned earlier also, we all were in fear zone. From fear zone, we are in learning zone. So we all are learning from each other and we must learn more and more from each other's experience. And such platforms as you have created, it is helping us a lot. So this is all for now.
I just wanted to comment on this science thing. I think I don't agree with that statement at all that institutions are not able to commit. For example, after this thing has come up, within a matter of I would say a month, there are at least 10 detection kits which have gone to ICMR for testing. One of them has already got approved, and one of them is already getting tested. The IIT one is currently waiting for the kind of approval process. And our researchers have been able to put together detection kits using very advanced DNA detection kind of technologies, and in a matter of a few weeks. I think that credit needs to be given to our researchers. I think unfortunately the ones which talking of the simpler technologies get a lot of public attention, but Indian institutions have actually been able to live up to this challenge. And there is a startup here from IIT Delhi which is able to supply 1 lakh masks per day right now. That is what they have been able to do with antiviral coatings, which they have been able to develop in the last 1 week. I think Indian academia has a lot of depth. I think right now, to me, the biggest challenge is the approval process, because that process at the higher levels, we have not been able to put in place, and it is taking still at least 3 to 4 weeks for a test to be, in a way put to trials and all of that. Yes, the process of taking a test to a trial process is still, taking about 3 to 4 weeks, and that is a process that I see right now. But otherwise, Indian academia is actually standing up to this challenge and doing an excellent and a wonderful job. I can any day, justify it with a very concrete kind of example. And there is even medicines being currently worked on, and for that you need supercomputer facilities, and you need to developing a medicine for this is a very long drawn process. Developing vaccines is a 1 year process, and people are still trying to do that in a matter of months now. So let us give credit to our academia in a major and significant way.
I agree with you, Professor Rao, for that. I agree with you, but in general, if we look at the total number, like 1,000 universities we are having, and
academia will be remembered for all of these positive things, I can tell you. Indian academia particularly.
That's a great thing. Professor Sundar, I would like to have your final comments on the subject.
I mean, I think, this panel has been really, really very, very good. And, I think different perspectives have come in, but there's one commonality which I take away, which is that when it's all said and done, and whether that's 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, we will be in a new reality. And I think we just have to be, we have to understand that there is a new reality that will face all of us as members of society, as educators, as teachers, as faculty, as students. And what we do between now and then, how do we take advantage of what opportunities, but recognize that there are challenges? I think it is an important wake-up call in so many ways for us in many parts of the economy, but certainly I'm only looking at it from the education sector, given the focus of this talk. And I am, as I said in my earlier remarks, I'm an optimist that I do think we should be able to come up with ways. That's how humanity has shown itself. We react to crisis and we come up with it, even though the short run, we go through a lot of pain. But I do think this might be actually a good one. And I'm not saying at the end of it, everyone will go online, because there is an incredible amount of value still left in traditional classroom, face-to-face interaction. But what may come about is interesting hybrid models, modularized models, and accelerated models of how online and on-site education and how do we deliver it to the vast masses, I think is hopefully something when we find the cure. The cure, I'll leave it to the scientists. I'm talking about all of us who are running universities in other subjects. I think that is where I see the education sector landing itself on its feet.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Professor Mishra, sir, can we have your final comment on the subject? I'm saying.
A couple of things that I expect will happen. And as Professor Ramaswamy also said, that it's going to be somewhat a drawn process of 8 to 10 months that we may be seeing. And I have my reasons to believe why that will happen. I think if this has to be extended for a longer period, we have to see who remains locked in and who gets to go out. Two groups that will remain locked in is the younger and the older ones. Because these basically, if they're locked in, the students and the older people, if they're locked into their homes, it does not immediately affect the productive capacity of the country.
Quite right.
Right? The factories will still run without them. So probably they will continue to be under lockdown. Also, please remember that from a government's point of view, it may be a good policy to save the future and not expose the younger generation to this crisis. Avoid as much as possible, because the future depends on this age group. So I feel that this is going to extend for quite some time. And I think all of us as universities will have to begin to prepare for that. And as everybody has indicated that this has been something new. We are learning each day. We haven't perfected the art of delivering education without face-to-face so far. Students are ready for it. So it's going to be a learning process. But I hope that if this extends for 8 to 10 months, we will be in a better position and our learning will be much faster. I also hope that everybody shares their learning in this. In this case, if there is a university that is being able to be successful in some kind of a model, I think it will be good to share with everybody so that we come out of this. At the end of the day, I think we are going to have a new world order completely after this crisis. I'm looking at very, very different political alignments in the world. A new world order will emerge. Power centers will shift. And there's going to be a complete new world that we are going to live in. And that's going to happen whether we like it or we don't like it.
Thank you. Mr. KDS Bedi, your final comments.
Well, sir, as I said in the beginning, every dark cloud has a silver lining. So there are some positive things which would emerge, like innovation, unity, sharing. All these things would consolidate. And we need to, there is a transition which will happen. That will be from the fear zone to learning zone and finally to the growth zone. We need to come into our growth zone where implementation, some good learning outcomes have to be practiced. As they said, the world will have a new order, and therefore this will be beneficial in many ways in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Rathore,
Yeah.
please, your final comments.
See,
Thank you.
two things what I felt very strongly. One, there's a big issue in the primary education because these days our teachers are not so tech savvy so that they can conduct the class like the senior classes teachers are doing these days. One thing, so we need to work on that. Second thing, we need to think about whether the e-learning in the school education is possible or not. See, or e-schooling is possible or not. Why so much of physical infrastructure is required for a school to set up? Why that much of investment is required? We can have a small, investment in small campus, and we can have good teachers sitting at some remote location to deliver lectures through technology, what we are doing these days. So this would be very, very helpful in case of smaller cities or maybe in semi-urban areas where the good teachers, having a good teacher is a big issue in two manners. One, every good teachers who is good in teaching, they left small towns and goes to the bigger cities. One thing. Second thing, if any good teacher is there in any small town, it is very difficult for every school to hire that teacher at such a higher salary because the financials of small towns are not so good. So what I feel, the government authorities and board of recognition, CBSE or state board should look into whether the shared teachers concept would be possible or not. Can we have teachers on the shared basis, not on the role of the every school?
Thank you. Wonderful, Mr. Rathore. Dr. Jyoti Gupta.
Pranav, I would like to say that the life is not going to be the same.
Correct.
It's not just about convincing the students, it's also convincing the parents. Where in higher education, the children take the ownership of learning on their own, and the parents don't come in to demand, from the higher education. But here, the parents and the children both have to be dealt with, and both have to be kept engaged. And the value for what we are doing in the school has to be created. So where, as I had said earlier, the online pedagogies and the online transactions have to be created, they have to be refined, they have to be used in the hybrid model. At the same time, we cannot lose out on the values of the value of the school or the college or the university. That value has to be kept in mind as well. All of us as stakeholders have to build our systems in a robust manner where crises like this can be dealt with, distance online learning. Maybe going further, it will be use of augmented reality, it will be use of the virtual reality as well into teaching and learning. But at the same time, the competencies can be built into the schools. The competencies can be built into the colleges or the universities. The children will still come together to get those competencies from the schools and from the colleges. And we together have to work on maintaining the sanctity of our schools and colleges also.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Harimaran.
So what we can see is the best example now, the China episode. The positive side is for India. So China is came back to normal yesterday after 98 days of lockdown thing. So I think what our Indian government is taken the bold step of lockdown of 21 days, and also extending further for a few more days is definitely going to give a lot of advantage to India, unlike the Western countries like US and Europe. The reason is the number of cases in US and in Europe is the very high compared than the India. So if we can able to control the number of cases and the spread of the COVID-19 in the next 1 month, I think India will have a lot of advantage. One in especially into the economy. One is the retail sector. The second one is the education sector, and third one is the healthcare sector. So coming to the education sector, the advantage is one, as rightly told by some of my panel members. I think this year the number of admissions going to other countries will definitely will come down, mainly to the US and European countries will come down, and these all students will be looking for a good quality institutes in India itself. So these all closely around 1.8 to 2 million students, they go out of India every year for higher studies. So these all numbers, I think closely around 2 million students will be looking opportunities in India itself. That will be a good positive side for educational institutions. I think things will become normal. It is just a matter of time. I think if you look at the kind of number of cases and the spread with the population of 1.3 billion of India, I think we are lucky that this disease is not spread so much like in other countries. I think things will become normal in coming weeks.
Thank you, sir. I would request Kumar Shekhar Vijayendra for a final message, not to only to educationists, for all our countrymen also, sir.
All have to remain very motivated, engaged, and keep learning and learning from each other. Then only we can fight. As time we do not know, it will take 12 weeks or 12 months. But this disruption has given us a reason for new creation, new thinking. And one very important thing, like today the regulators, as I represent private sector, they are talking that go online, 100% go online. Even sometimes very circulars are there when they say do research online. I do not know how to do research online without that smart. But I feel that once this crisis is over, this mindset should remain in the regulators also, that let the universities, institutions decide what will be the best mode, a blended mode, hybrid mode, whatever the mode will be there for teaching. Today they are talking about even assessment and examination should go online. So that should remain there, the same mindset. There are certain challenges, but every challenge has a solution. And with the young people, to the young people especially, I always say, remain engaged. This is the best way in negative environment to remain positive. So we all are engaging ourselves. Even I am trying my hand on paintings. I never did in my life. So everybody is laughing on me, including myself, but still I am trying. So let us try some new skills, some new things we should do. So this is what
Professor V. Ram Gopal Rao, sir, your final comments and your message to all the citizens of India also.
Which COVID has definitely done is it has put science at the forefront. Now, no government can say that science is not important for us because it has shown the importance of science now. So that definitely will happen. Another great thing that has also happened was our educational institutions were very averse to using new technology or blending technologies with the learning processes. Other than PowerPoint, I don't think any educational institution can claim that they have done anything great kind of a thing. But now, thanks to this, whatever it is, I think these flipped classroom approaches and a lot of things are being talked about. At IIT Delhi, we have taken a major, flipped classroom kind of a, we have adapted that now for reducing the semester time. I think that is one thing that definitely is happening. Another thing which has also happened, which I'm sure, will show up once things become normal, is our travel budgets will come down. Now that we all realize how easy it is to communicate with each other. I remember even for your own TV channel, you called all of us to your studio last time when we had a similar panel discussion. So now we are all doing it online. I think so now that we are realizing this, people will now use these online platforms more effectively. At IIT Delhi, we're already discussing that all the PhD examinations, the Viva OCs, we can actually do that on these channels. Now we don't have to call somebody for that 1 hour kind of a work. I think that is something that will happen. And people also will value their freedom more. I think sitting at home now, people now have realized, what is that freedom of, where you can go, when you can go kind of a thing. I think now people will become more, what do I say, sensitive to the freedom. I think that is what this episode has taught us, and like what all panelists have said, we have to remain positive. I think this is a temporary phase; it will get over. I don't think, when students write to me saying that this job is, isn't dead or that job has gone, I say, it's just a matter of time. Industries need to eventually recruit people. Whatever goes down will eventually come up also. So I think the recession will last for some more time, but I think once demand picks up, I think everything will also come back to normal kind of a state, and there will be jobs. I think to support all of that, it will last maybe 6 months to 1 year, but I think everything will be fine. No one should unnecessarily get too much worried about what is happening.
I would like to thank, I think Mr. Rao quoted a very good example. When we started the television, Mr. Rao came all the way from IIT to our studio. Thank you so much. Today we are doing at ease. I would like to thank Mr. KDS Bedi, Vice President, Chikara University. I would like to thank Mr. Sundar Ramaswamy, Vice Chancellor, Kriya University, Sri City, Andhra Pradesh. I would like to thank Mr. S.K. Rathore, the promoter of Sanford Schools. I would like to really thank Shri Kumar Shekhar Vijendra, Chancellor of Shobit Universities in Meerut as well as in Gango. And Dr. Hari Maram, I think you all, I tortured, you came in a very short notice today. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Jyoti Gupta, thank you so much, ma'am. And Professor Kamlesh Mishra. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time. I'm sure whatever you have spoken, it will be helpful to many people. And maybe a part of a sentence can change a lot of lives. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.